So many episodes coming out so quickly. Episodes 6, 7, and 8 coming out back to back to back. And so now we've got a lot to look at. So the first thing that I want to talk about in episode 7 is Jesus and how he interacts with the Romans and with Quintus. So let's get into it. Welcome to The Snipe Life, where we look at creativity through the lens of Christianity, and today we're looking at Season 2, Episode 7 of The Chosen. We make these breakdowns about every single episode of The Chosen because I believe that this is the #1 creative work of Christian influence in my lifetime. And so I'm really excited about it, and I think that you should be as well. And Episode 7 for me was no letdown. We got to see a lot of Jesus working, and a lot of interesting things with the Romans and with the disciples as well. So there's a lot to break down here, but first we're going to tackle Jesus and how he deals with the Romans and with Quintus specifically. Now, obviously, if you've seen this episode, you know that Jesus gets arrested. And so that's the first scene that I want to look at. How does he deal with the situation? How do the others around him deal with the situation? And what is the kind of repercussions for what's happening here?
Andrew, my little brother whom I love very much.
What?
I need you to take a very long, deep breath. Can you do that?
What? Why?
Just please, ask God to give you...
Now, a few days will be plenty of time to make sure everything goes smoothly. Don't be afraid. Tell everyone to keep planning. I'll be back.
I knew it! Hey, I knew it! Get it together, man.
Jesus of Nazareth, you are sought for questioning by a Roman authority. Will you surrender to detainment peacefully?
Yes?
Jesus, no!
Are you armed?
I am not, but some of my followers are.
Tell your followers to drop their weapons and step back 10 cubits.
I will. May I say goodbye to my Ima? Mater mea.
Yes.
Don't be afraid, Ima. James and John, drop your weapons and step back 10 cubits. Matthew is safe and doing well. He's back at the camp.
You all look underfed. Filthy.
We had a bit of a hungry spell, but we have men out on the water now, stocking us up.
He's used to eating well. What do you have to offer him?
Should we talk about this later?
Move out!
So there is so much to this scene, and I don't think that we fully comprehend all the pieces that go along with it, especially if we've only watched it one time through. But this scene in and of itself has so many different facets, from the way that the Romans are encountering the disciples for the first time, to how Gaius is reacting to Matthew not being there, to Atticus kind of enjoying the whole thing. And then we see Jesus and Mary and Nathaniel and how they react differently even than James and John. There is a lot to talk about here. But let's start out first with James, John, Peter, and Andrew. Now, we're going to talk more about Andrew specifically in an upcoming episode, so make sure you're subscribed to see that. But for the other boys, this is definitely a moment of panic as well. Now, Andrew has been in a state of panic, and he's going to continue to be that way for the whole episode. But for the other three, they're really having to take a step of faith here, especially James and John, who are with Jesus at the time that he's arrested. They have weapons on them, and they're asked to take them off and to step back 10 cubits, which is a measurement that the Romans used for a lot of different things. You have to remember, during this entire encounter, this is not like the police coming to see if you've done something wrong. This is way worse. This is more like a terrorist group or an occupying force, right? That's what the Romans are. They have come and occupied this land that isn't theirs, and they're coming to see what you've done wrong. This is very intimidating, especially for the disciples. A Roman leader could kill you in an instant, just because they want to. You don't even have to do anything wrong. But in their eyes, Jesus has stirred the water a little bit, and so they think that maybe Rome just wants to get rid of him already, because he's done something wrong. In their eyes. When Rome takes you into custody or puts you in jail, they could, if they wanted to, kill you at any moment. A leader could just say, okay, well, you're going to be executed, and you'd be executed. You'd be crucified. You'd be killed on the spot. These Roman leaders could kill you whenever they wanted. Remember, they had full reign over the land, and this was theirs. They had the control. They had the armies. They had the people under them to do whatever they wanted. And so this was a very scary position to be in for the disciples. Because no matter how much they trusted Jesus, they knew that the Romans could just kill him at any time. And especially now, at the beginning of their journey, they're going to have 3 years with Jesus. And this journey has just started, so they don't know how to trust him perfectly. They don't understand who he is fully. They can say as much as they want that he's the Messiah or the Christ, but they don't fully understand what that means yet. However, James and John do really well here. They listen to Jesus, and even though they want to defend him at first, they take a moment, put down their weapons, and they back up, allowing the Romans to come in and arrest Jesus, following Jesus' orders for them. And obviously, Andrew and Peter out at sea, they are feeling helpless. They're not there to help the group. If there was a fight to break out, they wouldn't make it in time before everything happened. And they would just watch as their friends were being slaughtered by the Romans. And so they rush back to shore. But we see that they don't even make it back until after Jesus is already gone. He's already been arrested and taken away. And there is absolutely a reason why Peter is not here. We know exactly what he would do if he was face-to-face with Romans trying to arrest Jesus. Next, let's look at it from the point of Mary and Nathaniel. They're sitting off to the side, they're obviously distraught, and they are not coming up to defend Jesus. Even though both of them are scared, they're both looking for Jesus for a cue, to see what he wants them to do. And as Jesus is taken away, you can see as Mary is sick to her stomach. She is not okay with this situation. Next, let's talk about the whole conversation between Gaius and Jesus here. You can see at first Gaius is extremely stern, and he's being the Roman soldier, the Roman leader that he should be, right? Telling everybody what to do and how they should do it. And yet at the same time, we see Jesus, before the Romans even arrive, preparing his group, telling Matthew and Philip to go off and continue planning for the sermon. We also see that strategically, Simon the Zealot is not here. Why is that? Well, probably wouldn't be a great idea to have a zealot in the face of a Roman enemy, right? Just wouldn't turn out well. We see as Jesus approaches the whole situation with a calm, confident, and strong demeanor. He's not sad or scared or fearful. He just knows exactly what's going to happen, and he tells them, I will be back. The one request that he makes for Gaius is to say goodbye to his Ima. And now remember, in the Bible we see this all the time, where the New Testament is written in Greek, right? But there are certain Hebrew words that come in and are translated throughout the Greek. So we may see something like the word mother translated into mater, right? And so here he does the exact same thing that Jesus would have done during the day, because all of them spoke several languages back in that time. So as he asks Gaius, can I say goodbye to my Ima? You can see Gaius is slightly confused. He doesn't exactly know what that word means. And then Jesus translates mater mea, which in Latin means my mom. Gaius then hesitates for a second and then says yes. And as Jesus hugs Mary, you can see the intensity of this moment, especially for her. Remember, imagine that your child is being taken away by ISIS or something equivalent. This is a very scary moment for her. She has no idea what's going to happen, but she does trust Christ. She does trust her son. that he said he's going to come back. And then finally, as Jesus is being arrested, there's one more small dialogue between Gaius and Jesus where they're talking about Matthew. Now remember, Gaius is the guard in season 1 who was taking care of Matthew, was with him the whole time. And they ended up having this kind of awkward, weird rivalry friendship thing. It's kind of hard to explain. But by the end of season 1, Gaius had formed this really strong relationship with Matthew, to the point where he was really kind of upset that Jesus took him away. He even said to Matthew's parents,
I know some people that were mildly fond of your son.
I think what is most important to me in this scene is the way that Jesus handles everything. He's not angry at the Romans. He's not sad. He's not fearful. He's dealing with it all in stride. And obviously, he still has that meekness. And meekness is strength under control. It doesn't mean that he is weak, but that rather he's not using his power at this moment, because he knows what's going to happen. And he knows that this is part of the whole journey. This is definitely who I see Jesus to be in Scripture as well. There are several different moments where Jesus could have overthrown certain people. He could have upset the government. He could have done these other things. But he decided not to, because he knew this was not his mission. This was not why he was here. He's not here to destroy the Roman government or to kill people. He's there to save the lost and to heal the sick. And can we just take a moment and admire the whole scenery here? Everything that they're doing in these scenes has been amazing, from the water and the boat scenes to all of these scenes with the Romans and the costumes and the land around them. Truthfully, it's beautiful, but it doesn't hold a candle to actual Galilee. I wish you guys could all go to Israel, and I hope that some of you have gone or do get to go sometime in the future. But for now, we actually have someone that we've partnered with to help you experience a little bit of the Holy Land. So today I wanted to introduce you to Artsabox. This is an amazing company based out of Israel that works with local vendors in order to get you things from the Holy Land. Amazing things that are handmade, not just some factory thing that's made out of China and happens to say from Israel on it. These are real things, ingredients, spices, pottery, all from the amazing land of Israel. It gives you a great look into what their lives look like now, and some of the stuff that they like to do, and some of the stuff that they like to eat. So we just wanted to give you an opportunity to check out this box if you wanted to, and if you use our code SNIPE20, you'll get 20% off. And if you do an annual subscription, it'll be 30% off. So how amazing is that? You guys could have a little taste of the Holy Land for much cheaper than it would cost you to actually go on a trip. And I know a lot of you can't go on that trip right now anyway. So if you want to check it out more, go to artsabox.com and use our code SNIPE20 at checkout, and that'll save you some money. Thanks so much for checking them out. And let's get back to scene 2.
Did he resist?
No, Dominus.
And his followers?
Peaceful. And compliant.
Have a seat. Leave us. Jesus of Nazareth. We finally meet.
Here I am.
I thought you'd be sort of
Taller?
crazier looking. Wild hair and animal skins.
Glad I could disappoint you.
The first story I ever heard about you, I didn't believe it.
That's usually how it goes.
It wasn't about religion or preaching or God. It was about fish.
Another common theme.
It was an impossibly huge catch, Atticus. It settled the largest debt in Capernaum's ledger. Did you meet Atticus? He's cohortes urbanae. They're like Caesar's personal detectives, mostly in Rome, but they go wherever. He's especially interested in you. Have you ever visited the Far East, Jesus?
I have received visitors from there, but never been there myself.
They eat their fish raw. Peel off the scales, cut off the heads and tails, and take a bite.
It's quite something.
They eat the flesh and spit out the bones.
Of course.
If Simon had not settled his debt, that could have resulted in my demotion. That was flesh. You create a public disruption that results in damage to property, a stampede, and a blight on my personal reputation. Bones. You seduced the single most brilliant and effective tax collector in the entire Upper Galilee. Also, bones. And now, the most tenured cohortes urbani in the history of the Roman Empire tells me he personally witnessed you disarm a zealot Sicarii. Wow. That's flesh. That's flesh.
Sorry to have caused so much confusion for you over flesh and bone.
Confusion? No. No. If your race weren't so repugnant and odious, I'd offer you a job.
I cannot take that as a compliment.
Jesus, this whole thing is very simple. You seem to be splitting your time between creating headaches for Rome and victories we could not achieve ourselves.
That's a little reductive.
You've doubled your following since leaving Capernaum. Then again, you returned a violent man who had been terrorizing Jericho to his senses.
But word of your miracles, or whatever, has spread all through Syria, and they start coming over here. Do you see my problem? I don't know whether to eat you or spit you out, to stick to the fish metaphor. But we're probably past that now. I'm saying I don't know what to make of you.
That's going to be a lot of people's problem with me.
No more bones, Jesus. Follow me. No more draining my talent pool, creating spectacles, crowds. No more meddling.
I cannot promise any of these things.
Then I cannot promise you won't stop breathing.
Well, it sounds like we're clear on what we can and cannot promise.
I honestly... Go, Jesus of Nazareth, I like you. We're on the same team. Just don't make me kill you.
I won't make you do anything. But my father, on the other hand.
I don't know what that means, but let's leave on a high note. I think we have an understanding here. You're free to go. Oh, sorry about your cousin, by the way. Marching himself into Herod's court and moralizing was not a very wise or brave thing to do.
He knew what he was getting himself into.
Do you know what you're getting yourself into?
It was a privilege to speak with you today, Quintus.
So this scene here is something that we've been waiting for since season 1. We know who Quintus is, right? He's this Roman leader who is extremely, extremely intelligent. He's mastered his craft in a way. He's the magistrate over Capernaum. And so for him, this whole thing is about industry. It's about doing the best that he can to create the best city that provides the most for Rome. And so because of everything that Jesus has done in this area, it's caused some good things to happen for Quintus and some not so good things. The only thing that Quintus cares about is not the religious aspects of what Jesus is doing. He doesn't care about that. What he cares about is how Jesus is affecting him personally. He wants to keep his position. He wants to keep on rising in the ranks of the Roman government. And he wants to do the best that he possibly can at the job that he's so good at. So this becomes a game for Quintus. On one hand, he really does like Jesus. He's finally encountering someone who seems to be as intelligent as him, who seems to know what he's doing as much as Quintus does. But on the other hand, Jesus is also causing some problems for him. And so how does he shore up this issue here? So as a Roman leader, you have a couple different options here, right? You could kill Jesus, but Quintus doesn't really want to do that. He likes Jesus, and he also thinks he's doing some good things for him. He's been helping him in some ways. You could put Jesus in jail, but again, Jesus hasn't really done anything against them yet, not in a way that would allow him to kind of be in jail. Or you do what Quintus is doing now, where he's keeping an eye on Jesus. He's seeing what's happening here and going to determine what to do as things move forward. Again, the conversation that we're seeing here is actually really interesting in and of itself. It's almost like Quintus is the Professor Moriarty to Jesus's Sherlock Holmes. The villain has now met the protagonist, and the story continues from there. This relationship continues to build from there. Now, last time we talked about character development, and this is another huge moment of that. we're seeing as Quintus is showing more and more of the different sides that he has. He's extremely playful, almost like a child in an adult's body. But on the other hand, we can also see how threatening Quintus can be. And we see this switch extremely clearly in the middle of this conversation.
No more meddling.
I cannot promise any of these things.
Then I cannot promise you won't stop breathing.
So we see the shift immediately from this playful, metaphorical conversation into a direct threat to Jesus. But even through all of that, Jesus knows that this is not his time yet. He knows that he's not going to be crucified yet. He's not going to be tortured yet. There's a lot more that he has to do over his 3 years of ministry. But this conversation does an amazing job of setting the stakes. The Romans telling Jesus, if you don't stop, you will die. And Jesus saying, yeah, I know. We start to see here too the kind of similarities between the Romans and the Pharisees. The Pharisees believing they know better than Jesus, and the Romans believing that they know better than Jesus as well. Both of them trying to thwart him in their own ways. Throughout both of these scenes, the character of Jesus has been so cool to watch. The way that Jonathan Rumi plays the character as someone who is calm and yet strong and confident in all of it. It's really cool to see, because that's how I really believe that Jesus would act in these situations, knowing exactly what was coming. Even when he's been tortured and hurt, right, later on in scriptures, he's still talking to these people calmly. And he's not shouting at them. He's not angry at them. He's just talking to them. Even on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. There is this calm sense of meekness and a demeanor of strength under control that is beautiful to see. And so in these scenes, it's really cool to see that as well in, a new light, in a story that's not in scripture, in a way that is just thought up by a team that sees who Jesus is and tries to portray that in the best way they know how. Well, I hope you like this episode, and thanks for being part of our community. Also, don't forget to go to artsabox.com and use our code SNIPE20 at checkout. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.